So let's again. Donovan crawled to the hole
Donovan crawled to the hole
and looked through it.
and looked through it.
Greg, the robots are about 50 feet away.
The robots are about 50 feet away.
Mhm. He said, "We have to get Dave to come closer."
He said, "We had to get Dave to come closer.
When he's near us,
When he's near us,
he'll behave normally again.
he'll behave normally again.
Then he can save us."
Then he can save us."
Pavel pushed his friend away from the hole
Pavel pushed his friend away from the hole
and looked through it himself.
and looked through it himself.
Mhm. Okay. "Our plan has certainly worked," he said.
"Our plan has certainly worked," he said.
"The robots know that this is an emergency.
"The robots know that this is an emergency.
They have gone completely crazy."
They have gone completely crazy.
The robots were marching together.
The robots were marching together.
The six fingers were following Dave.
The six fingers were following Dave.
Donovan looked through the hole again.
Donovan looked through the hole again.
Suddenly he called to Pavel.
Suddenly he called to Paul.
"They are leaving."
"They are leaving."
Then he shouted through the hole.
Then he shouted through the hole.
"Dave! Hey, Dave!"
"Dave, hey, Dave!"
"He can't hear you," said Pavel.
"He can't hear you," said Paul.
"Wait, I've got an idea."
"Wait, I got an idea."
"What are you going to do?" said Donovan.
"What are you going to do?" said Donovan.
"I'm going to shoot."
"I'm going to shoot."
One of the fingers. I'm going to shoot one of the fingers, Pavel replied.
"I'm going to shoot one of the fingers," Paul replied.
"Why?" "I'll explain later,"
I'll explain later,"
Pavel replied.
Paul replied.
"Let's see if my plan will work."
"Let's see if my plan will work."
Pavel took his gun from his belt.
Paul took his gun from his belt.
He fired 3 times,
He fired 3 times,
and one of the sub-robots fell.
and one of the sub-robots fell.
Then Pavel called Dave's name into his radio.
Then Paul called his name into his radio.
There was silence for a few seconds.
There was silence for a few seconds.
Then Dave's voice answered.
Then Dave's voice answered.
"We have an emergency," said Pavel.
"We have an emergency," said Paul.
"There was a cave-in
There was a cave-in
near where we were blasting.
near where we were blasted.
I'm trapped here with Donovan.
I'm trapped here with Donovan.
We can't get out
We can't get out
because the tunnel is blocked."
because the tunnel is blocked.
"Can you see my light?"
Can you see my light?"
Pavel shone his flashlight through the hole.
Paul shone his flashlight through the hole.
"Yes," Dave replied.
Yes, they replied.
Powell sat back and smiled.
Powell sat back and smiled.
Okay, Greg, Donovan said quietly.
Okay, Greg, Donovan said quietly.
Now explain everything to me.
Now explain everything to me.
Dave goes crazy when he has to make difficult choices.
Dave was crazy when to his handle the difficult choices.
For example, during emergencies.
For example, during emergencies.
Powell said.
Powell said.
Did the words of Dave's order make the sub-robots crazy? Did the
Did the
words
words
of Dave's order make the sub-robots crazy?
Make the sub-robots crazy?
No.
No.
When the fingers did simple work,
When the fingers did simple work,
they didn't have to be supervised.
they didn't have to be supervised.
They worked correctly and efficiently.
They worked correctly and efficiently.
Usually, Dave only gave orders to two fingers together.
Usually Dave to give orders to two fingers together.
But if there was an emergency,
But if there was an emergency,
all six fingers were given orders immediately.
all six fingers were given orders immediately.
And together.
And together.
This is when Dave has a problem.
This is when Dave has a problem.
So I destroyed one of the fingers.
So I destroyed one of the fingers.
When Dave has only 5 fingers.
And when Dave has only 5 fingers.
His brain works quickly.
His brain works quickly.
And efficiently during an emergency.
And efficiently during an emergency.
Dave's problem should be easy to correct.
Dave's problem should be easy to correct.
Donovan said happily.
Donovan said happily.
Yes, said Pavel.
Yes.
But why did the robots march in that strange way? Asked Donovan.
But why did the robots march in a strange way? Said Donovan.
The sub-robots were like Dave's fingers.
The sub-robots were like Dave's fingers.
Sometimes people can't make decisions.
Sometimes people can't make decisions.
When there is an emergency.
When there is an emergency.
They can't think clearly.
They can't think clearly.
They just sit and move their hands.
They just sit and move their hands.
Maybe Dave was playing with his fingers.
Maybe Dave was playing with his fingers.
Okay. It's the end of the part. It's the end of the chapter.
It's the end of the part.
Yes, and let's go. As she talked about Pavel and Donovan. As she talked about Pavel and Donovan.
As she talked about Pavel and Donovan.
Susan Calvin's voice was cold.
Susan Calvin's voice was cold.
But when she spoke about robots.
But when she spoke about robots.
She was interested and excited.
She was interested and excited.
Has there ever been a problem?
Has there ever been a problem?
With robots on Earth?
With robots on Earth?
No, we don't work with robots here.
No, we don't work with robots here.
Have you ever had any problems?
Have you ever had any problems?
With a robot yourself?
With a robot yourself?
Susan's face went red.
Suzy's face went red.
Yes, she said, I've had problems.
Yes, she said, I will have problems.
I remember a case that happened almost 40 years ago.
I remember a case that happened almost 40 years ago.
She was silent for a few minutes.
She was silent for a few minutes.
I waited until she spoke again.
I waited until she spoke again.
I was young and foolish once.
I was young and foolish once.
Do you believe that?
Do you believe that?
No, I replied.
No, I replied.
Well, I was in 21st.
When I was at 21st,
I made a mistake.
I made a mistake.
I believed the words of a robot named Herbie. I believe the words of a robot named Herbie.
I believe the words of a robot named Herbie.
He was a mind-reading robot.
He was a mind-reading robot.
What?
What?
He was the only mind-reading robot. He was a bad mistake.
He was the only mind-reading robot. He was a bad mistake.
Yes. So, right now it's a continuous story. Story continues. And we have new characters in our story. And let's go the next chapter. Yes, in 10 minutes we will translate. Будем переводить. We will translate from English to Russian, from Russian to English.
It's completely difficult for me.
No, it's not difficult. It's easy text. Easy text. We always do a good job with you. Всегда справлялись. Окей. Угу. Ну, смотри, Коля, еще половина осталась.
В смысле половина?
Половина истории. Мы только половину истории прошли. Давай все-таки дочитаем ее и уже возьмем. Ты говоришь, что немножко сложновато?
Не, ну я попробую с русского на английский переводить, но мне тяжело.
Я небольшие нагрузки буду давать. Не переживай, это все поправимо.
Нет,
Окей.
я просто не все английские слова знаю. Может, некоторые
Таких
неправильные.
много.
Я это имею.
Английских слов много, их 400 тысяч. Конечно, все не можешь знать. Я тоже не все английские слова знаю. Так. Но мы же расширяем словарный запас. Поехали. На английском. Альфред Ленин, Питер Богарт, Милтон Эш.
Альфред Ленин, Питер Богарт, Антон Лэш.
And Susan Calvin.
And Susan Calvin.
Sat around the table.
Sat around the table.
Lenin, the director of US robots, spoke first.
Lenin, the director of US robots, spoke first.
The robots reads minds, he said.
The robots reads minds, he said.
We're sure about it.
We're sure about it.
We don't know why.
We don't know why.
He looked at Bogart.
He looked at Gogol.
Bogart.
Bogart.
You are the mathematician.
You are the mathematician.
You know how the positronic brains of robots are built.
You know how the positronic brains your robot are built.
You explain.
You explain.
We are talking about the 34th RB model of robot.
We are talking about the 34th RB model and robot.
Мгм. All the other RB models are normal.
All the other LB models are normal.
Мгм. Ash frowned. He was the youngest officer
Ash
at
found.
US Robots.
Ash found as the officer the company US Robots.
Мгм. Bogart. There weren't any problems when the robot was built.
Bogart, the problems when robots was built.
Мгм. Okay. I guarantee that.
I guarantee that.
Do you? Bogart
А я
said.
думал, что гарантия читается warranty.
Guarantee.
А я warranty читал.
Guarantee.
Я читал все время warranty.
Там Г буква. Guarantee. Warranty. Может, есть какое-то похожее слово. Warranty.
У меня на ноутбуке написано гарантия 12 месяцев. Так и написано warranty.
На букву В начинается, да?
На букву W.
На W, да? Ага,
Да.
слышал такое. Так, сейчас, секундочку. Я проверю. Скорее всего, это... Ну, вот у нас guarantee. Guarantee.
Ну,
Я
W-A-R-R-A-T-Y.
понял тебя. Я понял
Вот такое
тебя.
слово у меня на ноутбуке.
Warranty. Warranty. Скорее всего, есть такое слово еще. Warranty. Сейчас, секундочку. Да.
Не, я все время читал warranty.
Warranty. Есть такое слово. Смотри. Есть два слова. Давай сейчас запишем. Давай запишем. Вот есть у нас слово. Так. Смотри, есть слово warranty. Это как поручительство, гарантия, основание, гарантия качества.
Ага, да-да.
Yes. 2-year warranty on a new car. 2-year warranty on a new car. 2-year warranty on a new car.
Ага, да-да, warranty.
Warranty, yes. 2-year warranty on a new car. Двухгодичная гарантия на новую машину.
Мгм.
А есть guarantee.
Но я такого слова не слышал, я слышал только warranty.
Так, guarantee.
А guarantee это что такое?
Сейчас. Это тоже обязательство, поручительство, но видно взаимозаменяемые слова. Или в каких-то отдельных случаях.
Не, просто warranty это знаешь для чего warranty?
Для чего?
Warranty это на предметы, на ноутбуки, а guarantee это когда гарантированно какое-то событие произойдет. Вот тогда guarantee. Ну, наверное, я так думаю.
Ты так
Может, я
думаешь,
ошибся.
да?
Да.
Ну вот, есть такое предложение. It's guaranteed to last 5 years.
Это гарантирует последние 5 лет.
Это гарантирует рабочее состояние на 5 лет. Рабочая гарантия 5 лет. It's guaranteed to last
Да.
5 years.
Ага.
It's guaranteed to last 5 years. It's guaranteed to last 5 years. Окей. Окей. Поехали дальше. Do you? Bogart said unpleasantly.
Do you, Bogart said unpleasantly.
We have to complete 75,000.
We have to complete 75,000.
234 procedures
234 procedures.
when we make one positronic brain.
when we make one positronic break.
And any of them can go wrong.
And any of them can go wrong.
Calvin interrupted the math expert.
Calvin interrupted as a math expert.
We need to discover exactly why it reads minds.
We need to discover why minds.
Why it reads minds.
Why it reads minds.
Minds. Mind. She said quickly.
She said quickly.
Lenin smiled.
Lenin smiled.
Да, не Ленин, а Ленин, да? Ленин. Знаешь, что такое Ленин, Коль?
Ну, коммунистический деятель.
Деятель бывший, да? Тут у нас Ленин. Lenin smiled. That's true, доктор Calvin.
Изучая улыбнулась. Lenin smiled.
Окей, хорошо. Тогда поехали с английского на русский и немножко с русского на английский. То есть будет тренировка, мы меняем мышление.
Ну, мне тяжело поменять мышление. У меня мышление...
Мышление, я имею в виду, чтобы хорошо разговаривать на английском, чтобы конструировать предложение. Английское мышление. Так, поехали. This is bad, Mike.
This is bad, Mike.
Powell said.
Powell said.
We only got enough air.
We only got enough air.
Так, о чем мы договорились с тобой? Что мы делаем сейчас? Переводим.
Ну, переводим с английского на русский.
Да. Ты будешь переводить или нет? Или я буду?
Да, это плохо, Майк. Мы имеем возможность достаточного воздуха только на 6 часов.
Окей, молодчинка. Ты запомнил даже. For 6 more hours. In our spacesuits.
В наших пространственных костюмах.
Да, в наших комбинезонах. Космических. Spacesuits. Так, if we can get back inside the base.
Если мы не можем вернуться обратно на базу.
We are going to die.
Мы можем умереть.
Yes. I have sent radio messages to Dave.
Я должен отослать радиосообщение для Дэйва.
Да, present perfect уже случилось. Я уже отослал. I have sent radio messages to Dave. Said Donovan. Окей, хорошо, восстановилась?
Да, сейчас восстановилась картинка, а то было...
Давай еще раз переведем. То есть уже свершилось действие. I have sent radio messages to Dave.
Я отослал радиосообщение Дэйву.
But he's not answering.
Но он не ответил.
The man couldn't move many of the rocks.
Они не могли двигаться среди многих скал.
Не могли двигать многие камни.
Так камень это же стоун, а скала это рок. Ну ладно.
Рок это камень. Ты прав, все правильно. Stone камень, рок камень. Окей?
А я думал, что рок это скала.
Это и скала. Все правильно. Это и скала, и камни.
Не знал.
Да. Because they were too heavy.
Потому что они были очень тяжелые.
The engineers could only make a very small hole.
Инженеры только смогли сделать очень маленькую дырочку.
In the wall of rocks.
В стене скалы.
В стене скалы. Молодчинка. Donovan crawled to the hole.
Майкл полез в дыру
and looked through it.
и посмотрел через нее.
Greg, the robots are about 50 feet away.
Грег, роботы приблизительно в 50 шагах от нас.
We have to get Dave to come
Сейчас
close.
я на 2 минуты в туалет.
Хорошо, 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 хорошо.